Super Deranged Q&A for super cool people by RubixRaptor.
Howdy! Welcome to the end of the year. I made hot chocolate for you, though you can only have it if you'll forgive me for not doing an end of the year compilation video this time around. The reasons for that are pretty simple. In short, I wanted to enjoy the holiday with my friends and family, and in the past putting a ton of effort into the year-end video kind of stopped me from doing that. On top of that, and tragically, the videos don't really do that well, despite it taking like twice the effort of a normal video, and I thought my time might be better used to put into like the Christmas video being nearly 20 minutes long, which, by the way, super happy with how that turned out. Absolutely terrified where that might go. The third reason is the actual reason, and is that I managed to start playing like 3 separate addicting games at the same time. So when I said I was spending time with friends and family, what I really meant to say is I'm spending time with Balatro. Fun game, by the way. Also, if it's not super obvious, this is going to be a super chill kind of update Q&A video. So if you're looking to like chill out with me for like 20 minutes, I'm your guy. I got the hot chocolate. I'm gonna hold that hostage until the end of the video. I also got a bunch of questions you guys sent in, including the accusation of me being a federal agent at one point. So that will be covered. Just give me a minute to go through some cool stuff. Now I just gotta remember what I was
He could neither confirm nor deny. Is that gonna be the answer?
going to talk about. You got to forgive me because yesterday was Christmas. So this is the day after Christmas, and I just remembered. Streaming. So if you guys notice, I streamed a lot more than I normally did this year, which was a ton of fun. Though that being said, I always had to focus a stream on something that I knew would do well. For example, like Lethal Company or Helldivers, just because unfortunately on YouTube, you kind of have to maintain momentum, and even live streams that do bad can kind of affect that, unfortunately. That being said,
No, he's 100% correct on that. It's why, like, as much as I want to play, like, I'd play Resident Evil 5 Into the Ground again. Absolutely. I mean, I played the game for a number of years, hundreds of hours, right? Maybe even breaching 1,000. But it's like, it can kill momentum, especially from a metric standpoint. Anytime I do a Kip React stream, generally it does pretty well. But at the same time, if I go and say play something like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings Online, or if I go play something like, insert niche game that I play here, Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core or Final Fantasy 14, right? And it doesn't do well. I mean, it kind of affects the bottom line. And that's just a thing that this line of work you have to be, just cognizant about, whether you're doing YouTube, whether you're doing Twitch, streaming on another platform or doing video, like you have to be cognizant of that. You might want to do something, right? But what you want to do might not be popular. So while I might want to say, since I've caught up with Final Fantasy 14, I might want to go through my first initial full run of the Lord of the Rings Online, the entire MMO. I'll get the whole main story quest. If like 10 people watch it over on Twitch, is my time maybe better spent playing something like Space Marine 2 or Helldivers or doing Kip Reacts, right? Is that something that maybe I pop on for a random stream and do? Hey, it's managing your time. It's all about cost benefit analysis. And I think that there's a really big stigma out there about, well, you're just focusing on this for the metrics. So you're just chasing you're just chasing these trends and whatever. Sure, yeah, week 1 Space Marine 2. Sure, I guess trend chasing. Congrats. But also people look forward to that game anyways. Yeah, there is a certain amount of time away from a game. Like, I missed the Stalker 2 window. I'll play it at some point, but I will get far less exposure than if I played it week 1, right? Like, that's just how that works. You're also allowed to want to play something because you want to play it, not necessarily that's part of a trend. Like, so for example, big example, right? RubixRaptor plays Final Fantasy 14. We know RubixRaptor plays Final Fantasy 14. He has 2 videos on him playing Final Fantasy 14. I've reacted to both of them. They are fantastic. You should go watch them. But notice he doesn't do Final Fantasy 14 videos. Notice there's a couple other things like the fish news. I was so glad that another one came because I think it's such a unique thing. It's like found footage news in one. But if they don't do well, and you can look at his Final Fantasy 14 videos that don't necessarily do well, even though he wants to play, even though he throws Gaius memes everywhere. I'm waiting for the odd Xenos test your reflexes meme, 100%. It's like, I totally get it. So, I mean, obviously everyone's going to have their own opinion. Everyone's going to have their own view. I don't think that, focusing on metrics isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I kind of want to do my part to try and dispel that, because it's not always a bad thing. In fact, RubixRaptor focusing on metrics and focusing on things that will do well helps him reach more people, which helps him do his job a lot easier. I think that that's a straight up W.
Said, I'm very interested in making live streams that are bad. And what I mean by that is not necessarily, they're not fun streams to watch, but maybe ones that wouldn't do fantastic on YouTube. I'm talking about like sitting around being dumb for like 3 hours straight playing Heroes of Hammerwatch. I really want a stream environment where I get to chill out and talk with people more. So I thought that might be the way to do it. And I'm thinking about doing that on Twitch. That's not really a statement that I think Twitch is better to stream on than YouTube. It's more saying that I want them separated, if that makes any sense at all. Anyway,
No, it is a separation, 100%. It's why I have different channels for different things, right? Well, so firearms specifically go on Tactikit because I hate dealing with monetization and firearms personally. But if I'm like going through my playthrough of Dawn Trail, right, which I went through. I finished that I think like week 1 or 2. I can't remember. I'd have to double check when I finished it. Like, notice that's over up on the VOD channel because Nikip TV, and I streamed it over on Twitch. I can't multi-stream because I don't have the bandwidth to. Not in Idaho. I barely have the bandwidth to achieve 50% over what I stream at, which is generally the required, like, this is what you want. So it does also help separate, hi, I'm doing reactions from, now we're playing some Final Fantasy 14, now we're playing some Helldivers 2, now we're playing Space Marine 2, right? It helps kind of separate that. It's no different than separating work and play, right? Like, you can have your job, but at the end of the day, you're not necessarily bringing your Warhammer kit into your job, right? You're not bringing your Adeptus Custodes, you're not bringing your Astra Militarum, you're not bringing your Space Wolves, right, into your job. You might bring them and just like, yeah, I'll go to play Warhammer after work, but you're not playing Warhammer at work. There's that separation.
Expecting them to be super cozy, small live streams, because I'm not even partnered on Twitch. So if you're interested in being part of that, link in the description. Also, I just checked.
I'm not either. I'm affiliate. Partner is like average of like 70 viewers. It's up there. I've been trying for a hot minute.
My Twitch. If you found a channel that looks like an absolute desolate wasteland, you are in the right place. At some point, I might update the about section. Who knows? The next thing I wanted to talk about was actually like brand deals and advertisements on the channel for this coming year. I don't know if you guys saw it, but that whole thing with Honey is very funny to me. The amount of money Honey offers creators was insane. I never took it because I couldn't really understand the business proposition. I'm glad I didn't. I'm not going to act like I was soothsaying and I could tell that they were actually evil. I think the only person that can actually claim that is Markiplier, and if you haven't seen it, he has a video from like 4 years ago where he's ranted about how Honey is like the Antichrist. It's very funny. That being said, I am still very overly picky on the advertisers I pick, and this has kind of reinforced why. It stresses me out that I could pick someone that is evil. So next year, the only ones I can guarantee is Gamersubs, because they are awesome to work with. They help creators, and I think their product is amazing. And Factor, because everyone seemed to like that, and I do believe that they deliver kind of nutritional packages of food. Speaking on the Gamersubs stuff, I had
Before we move on to the Gamersubs, I do have immense respect for him for doing this, because he absolutely could just take a paycheck. He could absolutely just deliver a video and then do it right. 100%. Absolutely could. And that's actually a thing. I guess the Spiffing Brit had a thing recently where he was talking about how you can, I guess, game the YouTube algorithm by editing out your old ad reads that the contracts have expired on. So if you say, I don't know, did like a Honey ad read 2 years ago, but the contract for it has expired, you could, I guess, go back in and edit out, which actually did prompt, I think that's what happened with the Roanoke Gaming video on, I think it was Nemesis, where there was a Raycon ad read, but then there was no Raycon ad read when I reacted to it, but I knew it was there before. So if it's like, hey, this contract has expired, I'm not getting paid for this anymore, sure, yeah, remove it. I think that makes sense. But I have immense respect for the integrity of RubixRaptor to not just take a paycheck, to just, yeah, I want to believe in this product. I'm always a fan of if people not only believe in a product, but use them personally. Why, I don't really take any sort of deals. Like, I have random messages. I have random, like, hi, would you like to do this? And it's just like, if I don't use it, I just don't feel because I do reactions and it's the only thing that really takes off on what I do. I don't really even feel comfortable putting ad reads on it because it just feels scummy for me to like react to RubixRaptor's Q&A and like, I don't know. Imagine if I had a Honey ad read on this, right? How weird this would be. Yeah, it just avoids all of that.
Content creator epiphany with everyone getting their GamerSupps cup, it was like a mentally changing moment. For good or bad, yet to be known. But for the people that did get the Ignis GamerSupps cup, a lot of them were delivered before Christmas, and I was just flooded with hundreds of pictures of people with this cup, of the design that Quail, one of my best friends, drew. And it was, I can't describe the emotion. It was good. I'm sure retrospectively I'll have a word for it in like 2 months, but I can't thank you guys enough. It really anchored in me how truly fortunate of a position I'm in, and that it is very important that I never take it for granted. I really hope that I continue to make fun stuff. And on the GamerSupps topic as well, that actually went so well, and they were so happy with it that we're going to be doing it again, hopefully with a merch add-on that I've been trying to get done for so long. So you will be the first to know if it ends up happening. All right, with that out of the way,
so cool.
Let's get to some questions you guys sent in, which were all very fun. The first one I had is, how many people have you had to describe your YouTube/Arma career to IRL? How awkward is it?
Dude, I hate having to do this. Like, I'm curious how he handles it. I don't even like telling people what I do. Like, if I had to quite literally, like, if I had somebody being like, hi, what do you do? It's just, I'm advertising, marketing. I work from home. I don't like talking about what I do because it always devolves into how much I make. It devolves into that's actually one of those weirdly stressful things that I've experienced recently in the past couple years that I've been doing this, where like people will just ask me about OBS and like how to do things and how things interact, and I'll tell them, but it never goes anywhere. But then they always want to talk about my work with that. It's really weird. I don't really know how to like express it. Like, imagine if you're like a nurse or a doctor, you're a medical professional, but every time you're around family, they just want to talk medicine with you. Or imagine if you're a carpenter and every time like you're around family and friends, they just want to talk about like upholstery or something, like, if that makes sense. It's one of those weird things that I, in what small capacity I do YouTube and Twitch, am kind of a little protective over. And I feel like kind of an oddity. So I just default to, I do not this thing specifically, but I'm very curious how he handles this.
The short answer is many and very. The longer answer is, at one point I had to describe what I did for work to my dentist while they had sharp objects in my mouth, which is stereotypical, I know, but it was a very terrible experience. That being said, they were very supportive of it after they could tell what I was trying to say while they're in the middle of stabbing the inside of my mouth. The next question I had is, what drugs are you on? And the answer is caffeine. Next question. Oh, this next question was the fun one. What, if anything, can you tell us about your previous job as a spook for the government? So, in truth, not that much. I held a TS/SCI with one of the 3-letter agencies under the Department of Defense. I can't say literally anything I did there, but it was an amazing experience. I met some of the smartest people I'll probably ever meet in my life, and I was there for like 5 years, which might make me sound old, but I'm only 25. I left this job recently. So, as you might guess, being semi-popular on the internet and working at a place like this wasn't very conducive. I know specifically, we did something called SecFin, where essentially you have to give all your financials down to the last penny. And they kept seeing all this money coming from like GamerSupps and YouTube. And it was like, that's a lot of money coming from someone that isn't us. So that makes us uncomfortable. They were very nice about it, but I did get the feeling that it was either stop doing YouTube or resign from my position. And
that's interesting. You like, so that's I didn't even really think about that. That makes a lot of sense though, because that could inherently tie you to some sort of benefactor or benefactor. Like that, when I think about that, what he says makes sense. The interaction makes sense. Like, that's a lot of money that's coming from sources that aren't us, and I could see it being a security concern. I could see it being an integrity concern, not with his integrity, but like Department of Defense looking at thing. And obviously, I mean, that goes without saying. Like, well, what'd you do? Doesn't matter what he did. He can either confirm or deny anything. Cool. If he wants to volunteer that he worked at a funny 3-letter agency, sure, awesome. What did he do? Doesn't matter. He did things. He did stuff. He did things. Doesn't matter. I don't know. But I have a unique perspective on that though, where I just don't. I don't know. People have volunteered me information time and time again that I feel I should not have, or that they really should not have volunteered. So I have this very like, no, do not actually tell me things. It doesn't matter. Please, for the love of God, stop telling me things. But no, I'm super happy that this is honestly worked out for him, and he is like he's doing numbers. Like I can't wait for him to hit that 1 and 2 million mark.
Chose the latter because my passion was way more into creating funny content, but for sure, one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, but I think I made the right one. The next question is, has the work side, editing, uploading, basically the YouTube side, impacted the fun side of gaming? Is there moments where it's become a chore? For sure. If you do anything to a work capacity, there will be times where you don't feel like doing something, especially editing.
Absolutely.
That being said, I'm thankful that I have the lens of having worked other jobs, because I can tell how fortunate I am to have this. It is a lot of work. Sometimes I will put in like 60 hours into quote unquote YouTube work. But it is way less soul crushing than a lot of other jobs, so yes. I'm not going to complain. The next one is, Rubik's, what is your game of the year? Lovely question, because I get to gush about how awesome this year was for gaming. Same with last year. I've been having so much fun. It has been devastating to my work schedule because simply I'd like to play a lot of games and I don't have the time to. If I had to pick one, it's going to come to no surprise to anyone that I'm going to say Helldivers 2. Helldivers 1 was one of my favorite games ever. And to be able to play 2, which was such a increase in quality in every avenue of the game, it's incredible. They had a bunch of rough patches throughout the year. I feel like a lot of them were addressed, and I'm hoping for a wonderful future for the game. I'm very, 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 very happy with it. Next question is, has Bohemia ever reached out to you and asked if...
I like that he has fun with it. I mean, I've made my stance on Helldivers pretty clear. I have gone through my points of just, I don't, like, they need to fix the game. Where they had their whole 60-day thing, but they delivered on day 61 because it was a Sunday. And, you know, I still to this day have cited, look, we've had to have 2 rounds of discussions about the devs just nerfing stuff. And I don't know if that's necessary. I always chalk it up to a managerial thing, because at the end of the day, the devs are doing what they're told, are they not? That seems like it's a manager thing, at least in a game dev capacity. So I'm cautiously optimistic. However, I have definitely noticed things like, so they addressed bug holes a few patches ago, like bug holes and bot call-ins and stuff, where bugs used to shotgun it, like if the moment spores left the bug's mouth, like it would call in, or bots would just shotgun that flare. And then you were able to answer it. But then after the Illuminate launched, for some reason, they're shotgunning them again. And I don't remember hearing any sort of patch notes or any news about that. So... that on top of just community and concerns about FOMO with recent Killzone stuff, which I didn't really care for it. I didn't buy it. Didn't really care. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's one of those, it's great. I love it. Still, should probably get fixed in the 178 countries it's banned in, but I am cautiously optimistic. I am, however, expecting the worst, and that's never a good thing to expect. So I play Helldivers in limited capacities, but I am glad that there are people like RubixRaptor who are still honestly having a lot of fun with it, because it is a good game. Like, there's really been some rough patches, and there's things like bots, shotgunning flares on me again. But I mean, it is a game that does, if it's handled correctly, just absolutely deserves like game of the year and like top tier status, 100%.
If you want to do a collaboration of some kind. Unfortunately not. I have reached out to them and asked if they want to do stuff for like Reforger and whatnot. But I always kind of got the cold shoulder. They have done a bunch of stuff with other creators, but I might just not be the brand of content they really want to support, which is completely fine. I'm a bit sad about it, but no hard feelings. Next is, my only question is, Jay, last year you stated that your favorite...
Sorry, that Firefox memory leak is kind of really hurting right now, because something pausing and it's not doing it to like a full second or two after. So, I mean, that's kind of my thing, right? I mean, like, when I react to people, when I do things, I don't ever expect any... It's cool when people comment. Like, I think a RubixRaptor commented on one of the reactions I did. Honestly, super cool. I loved it. It's one of those that... It's interesting how collabs are handled. And I think a lot of collabs are seen as a transactional kind of thing. where I'm someone that views it as cool. I like what you do, you like what I do. Cool. It's like it's just mutually beneficial. Not that it's transactionally beneficial, right? Not that it's mutually beneficial in a like metrics sort of way, but it's like for example, like Brandon Her and Russian Badger having a range day together. They probably just really cool about it. Probably were just like two dudes wanting to have a range day. Sounds pretty cool, right? But there's definitely like VTuber collabs where sometimes it feels like it's just transactional, and I can't get behind it. So it's really sad when people want to do collabs. But sometimes it feels like your brand doesn't align. Like I feel like I'm a brand risk 100%. Some of the stuff I have to cover, some of the stuff I've talked about, some being an male VTuber, right? Like as it turns out, not necessarily the best look or the most popular option. So I get it. It ends up just collabs don't really happen. That's just the reality of what I do. Which is unfortunate because people like RubixRaptor absolutely deserve some banger collabs. And man, I don't think it's his brand. I think RubixRaptor has an incredible brand. Where I am prone to being negative, he is incredibly positive, very, very upbeat. And it's I like reacting to him so much because he's just super positive. He is a positive influence that kind of dispelled like 40k reachers for me. And was a big part in me taking the plunge into looking into Warhammer, which I chose Eldari, right? Like, very cool, dude.
In 40k is Tyranids. Would you ever start a Tyranid tabletop army? I do have a few Tyranid models.
Nice.
That being said, I have pivoted and transitioned towards making a Votann army because I really like their aesthetic. Dwarves, that's it. That's my whole argument. I had a bunch of friends over for my local Renaissance fair, and we played a bunch of Warhammer tabletop battles, and they were just so fun. So I'm going to continue.
Dude, certified Greyhammer status. Let's go. I know people use Greyhammer in like a derogatory term. Look, sometimes you just want to put together the kit. You want to jam out some games. Absolutely. There's play paint. There's parade ready. Right? Totally get it. That being said, who cares if they're playing Greyhammer? Dude, it seems like they're having a lot of fun here. Think it's great. I actually picked up, I have both the Eldari kits now that I think about it for Kill Team. I have the Corsair Void Scarred, and I have the whatever the Kane one is. So I'm looking forward to that.
To build that army. Hopefully they get enough units to make an effective tabletop set. I went against Quail, who has a knight army. It was so fun. Next one, what is your favorite kind of hamburger? Yes, this is important. This is going to be a weird story, but at one point I was hiking Mount Hood, and a fucking blizzard hit. And I found like this ski tavern, like mini resort place, and they had a restaurant in it. And they served this blue cheese bacon burger, which is the best burger I have ever had. And it was in the middle of just this complete whiteout outside with like hot chocolate, French fries, and this cheeseburger. It was so good. And now I peaked on hamburgers, so I can't truly ever enjoy them again. It's actually a terrible curse. Actually, as we're winding down this Q&A, I'm going to give you your hot chocolate now before I forget, because that would be catastrophic.
Oh,
Here you go. Imagine drinking that. It tastes great. Okay, I'm going to try to make this the last question so I can get back to my cocaine hell game known as Balatro. Hey, Rubix, why don't you make VODs for some of your Ignisops? Simply put, there is so much downtime and broken parts of Arma, the VODs would be terrible. Maybe if I had streamed them and was making content with the prospect of, every second has to be entertaining, they might be more salvageable. I also would really not like to stream Arma. It seems like such a bad game to stream with how often it breaks, and again, how much downtime you can truly have in that game. I'm not saying I'll never do it, but it's unlikely. I know just in the Christmas up, when the Mega Bomb drops and kills everyone there, that hard crashed our server, and we are out of commission for like 10 minutes as I was desperately trying to get it back online. In the video, it looks a lot better and seamless, but VODs would just be terrible, and I just don't feel comfortable putting out content that's not good. I know some people would enjoy it regardless, I'm sure. It's just not something I want to make. So, turns out I lied.
No, I can absolutely respect that, though. Absolutely. Like, there's certain games that I play, and I'm just like, I'm not making a bot out of this. Like, Final Fantasy 14. There is stuff that I do on Twitch that doesn't make it to VOD format for one reason or another. Like, me building the Wraith Knight over on stream over on Twitch, right? Like we were playing things like Sabaton and stuff, allegedly from a playlist, right? Allegedly, of course. And stuff like that. I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. There are certain things like Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth, The Third Age that have a very heavy licensed soundtrack that is definitely going to throw some flags in the copyright system, right? So, like, I mean, there's certain things that I feel just don't get translated VODs over. Like, if I'm just chilling, right, and Baka hops on call, and Baka's at his job, and, you know, he's on his phone, and I can tell because compressed mic, it's like, yeah. I mean, well, we'll play Skyrim or something, maybe, right? But it's one of those that, like, I get it. Like, you have to kind of engage. I have to at least kind of engage my brain for VOD status. And most of the videos, like, I didn't know Arma 3 had as many issues as it did until people in chat were like, oh, no, Arma can crash. Like, Arma has some issues, to which even, you know, like that Christmas bomb knocked the server out for 10 minutes. Now, you can have uptime, right? You can have, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You can have the thing where you fill dead air, right? Where you just talk to talk, right? So, like, you know, Swords of Messer in chat saying, do I hear Rock and Stone? Let's say the video crashed right now, and you're talking about that while I'm getting the video back on, right? Like, I'm not having dead air. You could absolutely do something like that. But I think that could also go into the separation between YouTube and Twitch, and that would be incredibly valid as well. If the separation was meant to be kept, that's something that he knows will do good on YouTube, even if there's no VOD for that, which does, however, open up like Warhammer Painting VODs. That opens up Helldivers 2 VODs, right? That opens up Space Marine 2 VODs. That opens up Rock and Stone DRG, right? There are certain things that you can have on stream. In fact, this is what a lot of streamers recommend, from what I understand, is to have your stream games and to have your not stream games. So let's say, for instance, that you just don't feel like you can stream Pokemon. I feel like I'm awful when I stream Pokemon. I can make that an off-stream thing. Versus, man, you know, Helldivers would be pretty cool with a community, or Space Marine 2 would be pretty cool if people had the ability to hop in. Well, that's more of a stream type thing. Having that separation, like you talked about earlier, I think that could fall into that. And yeah, it's one of those, yeah, where a crash can have people just leave, right? Like, there's been times where something has happened. I've either had to take a break, game has crashed, game is chugging along or doing something, having to go in the settings and fix it. People lose interest. That's just how that works. That's not that your content's bad. That's not that they're saying you're bad. It's cool. They just want to do something else with their time.
This is the actual last question. What other genres of video games are you into? I am absolutely addicted to fantasy roguelikes, which is unfortunate considering that is a far-flung genre from what I do on this YouTube channel, but I play the hell out of them. Last year, we actually played a VR roguelike dungeon diver that ended up turning into a saga of losing members of our party one by one until I was all alone fighting this hellish demon boss at the end. I have it recorded. It might be a video at some point. I don't think it would do well, but it would be really fun to make, so it'll probably happen. Alrighty, that wraps it up. If you have another question, or you already had a question that I didn't answer, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll try to answer a bunch of them. I think it might be something fun to do. I can't thank you enough, guys, for such a wonderful year, and I cannot wait for next year. I'm also very proud of you. You guys got a lot deeper on the Q&A iceberg, though there are questions that remain. I also have to pass on a massive thank you to my patrons this year. Once again, it grew a bunch, and this money really helps me stress a lot less about taking time to make good videos. Like, the Patreon is the main reason I made it like an hour-and-a-half long video essay on Arma, because I didn't have to deal with that stress. Which, by the way, I never shouted out, but just for $5, you get videos early and some chats where you can ask me questions or get sneak peeks on projects that I'm working on. With that said, it is perfectly fine to enjoy the videos free on YouTube. No pressure at all to support me there, but the idea keeps coming back to me that people like donate on a live stream and don't really get anything back for it. This is a great place that if you do want to donate money, I do have an ability to return some value back to you. So again, thank you for all the people that have been longtime members of that. Massive thank you. It is a huge help, and a lot of that money goes back into the channel in one form or another. I got a new microphone finally. Don't know when I'll set that up, but if I suddenly sound different one day, that is why. I hope everyone the best of luck with the coming year, and I will see you around.
I love this. I always love Q&As. I mean, it's one of those things I think it's cool to react to, how someone else interprets questions, how someone else's answers, what conclusions they come to, and how they answer things versus how you'd answer. I think it's great. Speaking of that hour-and-a-half Arma video, it has been requested by several people. to ask if I'd be willing to react to his entire thing. That is something I'm declaring at this point intent to. I don't know how far out it will be. There is intent to react to the game that can make your dreams come true, Arma 3 video. For me specifically, getting asked to do longer and longer videos is just taking a lot of time, and it's a lot of investment that doesn't necessarily pay off a lot of the time. But what I wanted to do was signal boost and what parts of the algorithm that I reached, that was a thing. And I want to see what he brings to the table, how a long form piece like that works, what he brings to the table. And I honestly can't wait. So I want to thank everyone for coming out and watching. I want to thank RubixRaptor for continuing to put out just honestly awesome content. I think that the content he puts out is great. I think that he's going to go far. I can't wait for him to hit that 1 and 2 million mark. I know he's got it in him. I know that he really he's got the talent. He's got the skill. He's got the charisma. He's got the cool factor. So yeah, that's kind of all I got. Thank you, RubixRaptor, for continuing to put out just such amazing videos. In the description down below, I have made sure to link his original channel as well as this original video, and make sure you go and support his big Arma video. I want to make sure that I'm, especially when I react to it, doing as much as I can to be respectful of him, his points, and his time, because something like that requires a lot of time to edit. And what I do is fairly easy by just sitting here behind a computer screen all day. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.